Hello everyone, this is Father the Ever-Chosen, back in Total War Warhammer 2, bringing you yet another quick battle, this time pitting my Vampire Coast versus the Vampire Counts. We'll go through my opponent's army real quick and then shoot back over to mine. So first off, my opponent has decided to go with 5 units of zombies as his front line, backed up by 3 Cairn Wraiths. He has brought 2 Banshees to further support that front line, a Graveguard with great weapons, the Von Carstein Vampire Lord, and the Vampire Lord is bringing Transformation of Kadan to summon a Bargulf, Invocation of Nehek, Van Hales, Dance Macabre, Raise Dead, Wind of Death, Undeath Resurgent, and the Storm of Night. I don't think he ended up taking any of those spells off. He also has 2 black coaches, quite cool looking units, very beautiful models, but very situational and perhaps best used only within campaign. He also brings a unit of Black Knights and a unit of Hex Wraiths. My army consists of 2 rotting Prometheans. I almost said Protheans. This is the Mass Effect. 2 Sirens. 2 zombie pirate gunnery mobs with handguns. 2 zombie pirate gunnery mobs. 2 zombie pirate gunnery mobs with bombs. The Black Spot ROR. A Vampire Fleet Admiral with the Lore of the Deep and a pistol on top of a rotting Promethean, bringing Tidecall, Denizens of the Deep, Vangeist's Revenge, and then the ability All Hands Ahoy and the Black Parapet to increase the magic that I can bring to bear. A Vampire Fleet Captain with a Power Stone, Invocation of Nehek, and the Taunt ability. A Gunnery White with all of his kit, and a single Carronade. So we'll jump in, and early doors, my Carronade takes a shot at these zombies. Of course, seeing that as a foolish target, I end up switching it over to the black coaches. We'll fast forward here because it's quite slow. But my Carronade does miss. The black coach is quite quick. And having Strider, I do believe. Does it not have Strider? Oh yes, there it is. With having Strider, it can just zip through the trees, which may actually help it in the long run now. The balance of power is clearly favoring my opponent, just a hair. I move my rotting Prometheans over here, seeing as the black coaches are not going to want to charge into them, they're going to want to charge into my gun line, and I begin to move my other rotting Prometheans over that way as well. I start to shift my battle lines, pulling the Sirens back and shifting the handguns so that they can start shooting the black coaches. But the black coaches just kind of go and park themselves over here in the wood. And I will turn around these running Prometheans. That's going to be a constant slip up. And these Sirens over here to take on the Hex Wraiths and the Black Knights. Again, everything is kind of poised to start shooting his line. I use my handguns against the large targets. I begin shooting right away. Of course, taking out mere zombies isn't very useful, and the Cairn Wraiths are going to, take a lot of punishment with that. I think 80% hoards there, or physical resistance? No, 75% physical resistance. But I feel that the use of my ammunition is better served on them than on the zombies, and eventually on the Von Carstein Vampire Lord himself. I do move the Sirens up so that they can engage in combat. These Sirens engage the zombies. They will make quick work of them. The Rotting Prometheans are over here, ready to engage the Hex Wraiths. These Rotting Prometheans are poised to take on the two black coaches over here. And at this point, I decide that my Vampire Fleet Admiral would be better served in melee rather than shooting. The black spot will continue to stand here. These zombies slowly fading away. The Sirens doing quite good here. And I do begin firing on the Von Carstein with my carronade. My bombs go out, damaging and blowing apart many zombies. And at this point, it's really just a all-around engagement. My opponent does summon some zombies here right on top of my units, and his black coach gets caught by my Rotting Promethean, and it's not going to be good for him. This black coach does get into my gun line, though, which is quite unfortunate. He does summon a Vargulf as well, getting that in my back lines very quickly. But my Vampire Fleet Admiral is quickly tearing through his ranks, racking up 24 kills already. My Vampire Fleet Captain is engaged here, and I get a Vangeist's Revenge coming through here, shooting at these Graveguard with great weapons. This is just a beautiful spell. Nice cannons coming out, and just look at that. Going from almost full health to mush. My Sirens walking away from a fight that they had no business winning against Cairn Wraiths, Graveguard with great weapons, and I feel good about that. Over here, the Rotting Prometheans are engaged with a black coach. This black coach and these Cairn Wraiths make short work of my handguns, but I do have the gunnery mob and the bombers over here. My opponent's Vargulf instantly gets singled out and starts to be torn apart. These zombies crumble way too quickly to have been any amount of use to my opponent. These Sirens are still engaged over here with the zombies and the Black Knights. These Rotting Prometheans are engaged with the Hex Wraiths, and they will be receiving periodical will be receiving invocations of Nehek periodically, just to keep them in the fight longer. My carronade switches over to start firing at the black coach, and these bombers, you know, though they aren't the greatest unit, throwing them against zombies that you know, could just overwhelm my units, a good unit to have. My Sirens come over here to assist my Lord, and I summon up the Denizens of the Deep to get these Black Knights and these zombies out of there, saving my Sirens. Rotting Prometheans still engaged over here with the Hex Wraiths, and at this point, the balance of power is starting to swing in my favor. My opponent really doesn't have much left to me, and at this point, I was wondering why the balance of power was not more heavily in my favor, but he still has these two Banshees to come. I don't know why he decided to leave them until, 5 minutes the battle had passed. But this black coach is quite damaged. This black coach is getting to be half health and is being shot constantly by carronades. And at this point, they really only have these Cairn Wraiths, these Hex Wraiths, and the Von Carstein here. These Cairn Wraiths are about to be toast. The Hex Wraiths do just push through my Prometheans, and again, as I said, they're getting that invocation of Nehek. They try to get into my gun line, and they do, but not to much avail. This black coach, I decided to take direct control of the carronade, and I fired and hit directly on this black coach, doing a devastating amount of damage, and then it took I think 2 volleys from the gunnery mob and dropped. Now my opponent has his Banshees in here, but at this point the writing's pretty much on the wall. My Fleet Admiral is quite damaged, but I still have quite a bit of magic. Their Von Carstein Lord is about to hit his healing cap. And of course, my Fleet Admiral can get away because he's got 45 speed. The Banshee could get him, but the Banshee decides to stay engaged to my Fleet Captain. These Hex Wraiths crumble, and really at this point it's just this Black Coach and the 2 Banshees and the Lord. And slowly but surely I start firing at them with the black spots. My Gunnery White, my Fleet Admiral starts shooting at this Banshee. And no, I think my opponent would have been better served to bring up these Banshees earlier. I do summon another Rotting Promethean here just to keep everybody over here and keep my Lord safe. I bring the Sirens over, my other Rotting Prometheans, and really at this point the writing has spelled it out, and that my opponent has nothing left but to slowly waste away. I think my opponent could have done much better if he had brought those Banshees up earlier. Those Banshees could have slipped behind my lines and engaged the guns, perhaps occupying enough of them that Vargulf didn't die quite so quick. I don't know why he didn't pull the Hex Wraiths back and try to cycle charge them. I mean, the Hex Wraiths are much faster than the Rotting Prometheans. But for my first endeavor out as the Vampire Coast, and indeed that was my first battle as the Vampire Coast in multiplayer, I think I did a pretty good job. 176 on this Fleet Admiral, mainly owing to that beautiful Vangeist's Revenge, taking out these Graveguard, leaving them with 0 kills, and taking out this Cairn Wraith, leaving them with 7. The Gunnery White, not only racking up 37 kills, but keeping things supplied with ammunition and increasing accuracy. Vampire Fleet Captain, walking away with 58 kills and heals. 87 kills on these Sirens and 83 on these. Really the only difference is that these Sirens perhaps had an experienced Chevron before the battle, but if they didn't, I would say they racked it up because they fought harder things. These ones probably just fought zombies. And, you know, the gunnery mobs and these bombers, you know, these bombers racking up 43 kills and these dying, but, you know, giving way to 80 kills. You know, they were just meant to be my frontline troops that could fire beforehand. The handguns were really the important thing, and truthfully they didn't do that well, save for the black spot, walking away with 142 kills. The Prometheans, though they didn't walk away with a lot of kills, they held off, you know, the one held off a Black Coach, the other one held off a Hex Wraith, and the Carronade doing its work, taking out, or at least assisting in the taking out of the Black Coaches. Truly, I think my opponent should have charged my front lines with his Black Coaches. Yeah, they would have been shot up, but shot up and in infantry is much better than engaged with Promethean. And the Banshees should have been utilized way better. You know, if they would have been up, they could have protected these Cairn Wraiths better. Not obviously not the one that got ripped apart by a broadside, but they would have been better served in the front lines. You know, I didn't even lose half. I did not even lose half my force, and though I had, you know, guns, the vampire counts are no slouches. They could have done more, but I do thank the Lord of Trees for an interesting fight and a good showing for the first Vampire Coast battle that I fought in multiplayer, and the first one that I am bringing to you all. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and any comments that you leave down below will be responded to and will be greatly enjoyed. I thank you all, and as always, I've been Father of the Everchosen.